Hi guys, Martin here, coming to you with my build update number 2 for the Eduard 1/32 Messerschmitt Bf 109E3 1/32 scale weekend edition, kit number 3402. Now I only just released my build update number 1 video yesterday morning. I'd made it the night before, Wednesday night, and following build update number 1, I gave a clear coat to all the internal assemblies I'd done, so it was ready to start putting a wash on and some weathering on those assemblies and button her all up. And yesterday, so I got the clear coat on, I weathered her, put the wash on, bit of silver chip in, and started to button her up. Well, I started, but that's where it ended. At first, building this kit, I'd enjoyed doing it so far, and I thought, wow, some beautiful details, nice, going together nicely. But then what's not pointed out to you in this kit on the box, and I think it should be, is you have 2 options, and they can only be those 2 options. Can't be any compromise. You either build it with none of the cowlings on whatsoever, displaying the engine, the firewall, the cabinetry and the cockpit, and that's it. Don't think that you can put any cowlings on and have both options, so you can show it with the cowlings in place and remove them and show off the engine. It's not happening, and that should be pointed out because I'm disappointed by that. I assumed with this kit that I could do that, and I'd read reviews that this was a well-engineered kit, goes together great, and but I hadn't read that you can't have the canopies, have the cowlings closed and open. That choice doesn't exist. So a little disappointed by that, and I'm going to run through the problems that I came across. I've not assembled it. I've had to do some fitting to get things to fit, and we'll start off. So what I did after update number 1, clear coated, I put a wash on everything, and then I assembled the engine into this firewall bulkhead with the electrical cabinetry, and then went to assemble it into the starboard half as it shows you. Now the bottom face of the engine I assumed sat on the top of that radiator housing, and that was a natural nest for it. But if you do that, the spindle comes just slightly lower than the front edge of that wall section, so it fouls, and if you want it on there, it's going to tip it back. And also the height of the exhaust stacks don't align with the aperture for those to slide in. They fall lower. So my first step was to put in a couple of pieces of cocktail stick super glued in, just to raise that up so I could get those exhaust stacks level, and then I tried to push them through, and that was my next problem. The width for the exhaust stacks too tight fitting for the width of the aperture. So I got out the trusty old Swiss file, flat Swiss file, and I went in there and I filed down that surface and the top, give a bit of clearance. Well, it's not clearance, it's actually a slide fit, and that worked. It went in, it slid in. The next problem was, when that went in, was the back wall section here of this firewall locates in a recess on the fuselage. It's stepped down, that's supposed to butt up there to position it. Well, that didn't happen. It was overlapping by about 1 millimetre, so it wasn't snapping into that step. So it was now, sitting there, and this wasn't closing down, this fuselage wasn't. So I was like, oh crap. So how do I make it fit? How do I get rid of 1 millimetre? So what I did was, you can see a step on the oil cooler there. I filed the front of this down, so that would naturally go forward, and I also filed about 0.5 millimetre off that step filed it back, so I've gained about 1 millimetre from there to there. Well, I tried it, it was still tight, wasn't snapping in. So then I filed the front edge of this wall section down. You can see it's filed down. And then it went in. So I got that to snap in. And that clicked in place. But when I put my two halves together, I got them sitting nicely on the back edge, locating there, locating at the front, but then when it was happening, it wasn't closing at the front end. I had like a big gap like you see now. What was happening was the wall section at the front of here was fouling. So I filed that down on both halves and filed a bit out the ends there. And I also had to file down the front exhaust stack, and you can see that's really thin. I had to file that down, and when I did that, that closed that gap up. It didn't close all of it, but it got rid of a gap that was about 2 millimeters, and I've closed it down to probably about 3/4 of a mil now, 1/2 millimeter. So when that's all in place, it closes nicely at the radiator there. What you can see, there's still a gap there. It's not. Hey guys, sorry about that, ran out of time. So as I was saying, I managed to close that up to about 1/2 millimeter, 3/4 of a millimeter. So I can live with that. I'll just have to fill that front end, but everything else goes together now. So be prepared if you're going to buy this kit. Two things. One, you either decide that you're going to display everything or you close it up. And if you're going to display everything, be prepared to have to do some fitting on this to get things to fit what I've pointed out to you. Now, if you decide to close it and you don't have the engine in here, you still have to have this bulkhead there with the firewall. Now, let's put on the upper cowling, the rear one. Oh dear, you've got about a 1 millimeter gap both sides, and that's because this bulkhead is too high. If I put my instrument panel down onto those wall sections, you can see there's a step all the way around about 1 millimeter. So be prepared if you're going to close it up that you're going to have to file down that bulkhead just to get that cowling to sit down. Oops, sorry. Because it's not going to sit down. And I imagine that there's probably some problems with the other parts as well, trying to get those to sit down. Instead of this oil cooler, if you do the closers, just a disc that fits in the front with the spindle attached to it for the propeller. Now I don't know what the fit of that's like, obviously, because I've not gone down that process. But anyway, that's my take on this kit. At first I was impressed with the details and thought this looks like a great kit. I'm really liking what I'm doing so far. But when it comes to building it up into the fuselage, it's a pain. You be prepared to do some fitting. Now, I didn't mind doing it because it's challenging. I like a challenge. But do I want that for the amount of money I'm paying for this kit? It's $36. No, I don't want that. I don't want to be having to go through all these fit issues. And as an engineer, I expect things to be almost perfect. I'll give or take a couple of little instances, but you know, things need to be engineered a lot better than this has been. So all the reviews I've seen out there, positive reviews, I'm guessing those guys are either working directly with distributors or the manufacturer and are just giving positive reviews to help sell it. Well, you're not getting a positive review from me, you're getting an honest report from model maker Martin that's not going to to let you see this through rose-coloured spectacles, and he's going to give you a bit of the truth. So be warned, guys. If you want a challenge, do it. Waste your money. $36. And don't expect to be able to do two options, to be able to display it and close it at the same time. It's not happening. So that's it. I'm finished moaning, and update number 3, hopefully I'll have this all built up, primed, ready for painting, which is what I was hoping this update was going to be, but I've been messing around with this for the last 24 hours to get things to fit, and walking away from it so I don't bang my head against the wall. Alright guys, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Hope you stuck around. This is a slightly longer video, but I thought I need to point all this out to everybody. Stick around, I'll show you some images of the things I had to do to get it to this stage. Alright, thanks guys. Talio, chocks away.
Thank you.